Oh, Andy, you are muted.
It was a great intro. It was
I'm
so
sure
good.
you're killing it.
Welcome, everybody. A quick recap. You are my favorite community in all of digital marketing, the SEMrush community. You are the smartest community in digital marketing, which makes this kind of hard for us, but you're also the friendliest community, which makes this really fun for us. And we have for you today the most important, one of the biggest questions in all of digital, the question about topics. Our topic today is about topics. And what to write, I think of it as like data-driven empathy. What does your audience want? What do they care about? How can you find clues using data, using tools, using reports to make sure that everything that you create is something that they want? That's the job, because it's not that good stuff gets good results and great stuff gets better. It's that good stuff gets okay results and great stuff gets amazing results. So if we can use a few simple tools, a few simple reports, we can have much more certainty that the content that we create will connect. So with us today, we have Susan Moeller from BuzzSumo. Susan, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I work with BuzzSumo, which is a company that helps people to understand what their audiences are interested in based on what they share socially.
Excellent. And Kevin, an introduction for yourself.
I'm Kevin Phillips. I'm the content marketing consultant here at Impact Brand and Design, and I work with clients to teach them a lot of the things we're going to talk about today. And the first step in consulting is finding out, what does your audience care about? What do they want to know about? What are we going to write that is going to start driving traffic to your website?
Let's jump right in. You framed the question. That is the question. What will my audience care about? How can you help me choose the topic for my next piece that is just exponentially more likely to connect and resonate with them?
Yeah, so I'm going to screen share here if you're okay with that.
Please.
All right, let me pick this one and share. Let me know if you guys are able to see this or if you're seeing yourself right now.
Looks good.
We got it.
Is that you or is that?
No, you're sharing your screen. We look okay. We're not in presentation mode, but you look good.
Okay, let me pull this over here and let me know if it ends up changing to. Are you able to see a slide deck?
We see the slides.
Okay, perfect. And let me go into presentation mode.
There you go.
Awesome, cool. Sorry, much more used to Zoom than I am to Google Hangouts, but this is a pretty cool platform. So yeah, today we're going to talk about how to find blog topics your audience really cares about. And these are topics that you are going to write content on that is going to then start ranking for keywords. It's going to start driving traffic to your website. And ultimately, we're hoping to close some more leads and sales. So what we're going to cover today is I'm going to talk to you about the top 4 sources that I use for topic research. One, we're going to talk about how to use your own employees to start getting an idea of what questions your audience is actually asking. Then I'm going to switch over to they ask you answer the big 5. This is our core philosophy here at Impact Brand and Design, which is what are those questions people are asking? And we have top 5 that we've seen kind of across industries that every consumer wants to know when making a purchase, whether for a product or for a service. Then Andy, I'm actually going to switch this over to you, and you're going to show us a little bit of a Google Suite tools, things on like search engine autofill and suggested Google recommendations. And then after that, I want to even show you how you can do some of this using SEMrush itself, using a couple of tools from its suite.
Sounds good.
All right, but I always like to start off with just some cool results here from clients I've worked with and some I'm still working with. So this is looking at HubSpot Organic Sources Report, and you can see a little impact logo of when we got started with some of these folks. And this is West Roofing Systems, a commercial roofing company. When they came to us, they were getting about 200 people a month coming to their website. And you can see they started implementing this stuff right away, and we've just had great growth from the beginning. A little bit of rollback around the holidays, but now they are up to 11,347 people for 53.5x or 5,252% growth. AIS Now, they sell copiers. They also do managed IT services. And they had actually been trying to do this on their own for a long time. And you can just kind of see stagnant organic growth for a long time. I began working with them in September 2017, and it only took about 3 months for them to really start seeing gains. And they went from, around 494 people a month coming organically to now over 5,560. Sheffield Metals, an industrial metal supply company focusing on metal roofing and metal roofing products. Same kind of results. Started out with very little traffic down here, around 1,100, and now they're getting over 23,000 people a month coming to their website. Aquila Commercial, another one where they had been trying to go at it for a while. They had HubSpot, they were tracking organic traffic, and it was just flatlined. We began with them in May 2017, and it took a couple months for their content to really take off, but now they're getting close to 25,000 visits a month. And Retroforma Michigan, these guys do spray foam insulation and for your walls, your ceilings, your joists, etc. And they only had about 640 people coming to their website a month, and they've peaked out just in January at over 65,000 people coming to their website, and they've got about 102 times growth, or 10,000%. And then my own, I got started working for a company called the Alaska Sleep Clinic in Fairbanks, Alaska, a small diagnostic center, teaching people about sleep apnea. And we would diagnose it and treat it. We were getting about 2,500 searches a month. Within a year, I was able to take them to 120,000. When I left, they were at over 300,000. And the cool thing is I don't even have new graphs to share, but they're over 400,000 visits a month. And if you type in anything to do with sleep medicine or sleep apnea questions, you're probably going to find something I wrote on the first page. So one of the first pieces of advice I really have, and a really great brainstorming exercise, is just get a list of questions from all your customer-facing employees. These are people on the ground level that talk to customers every day. They hear the problems, the concerns, and the questions these people have about the products and services you sell. So before even doing like market research or anything, I like to just have people do an internal brainstorming session. Now, you can either do this through email, just email out to everybody and say, hey, I want you guys to send me a list of the 20 questions you hear the most frequently. Or you can even do a big powwow, get a bunch of people, either the entire company, or if it's a large company, get individual groups into a conference room, get on a whiteboard, and just start cranking out questions. And it's important to ask different people from different organizations because they're going to different questions. So for example, at the sleep clinic, I would talk to the doctor and he would ask questions like, what is sleep apnea? What are the symptoms of sleep apnea? How do I treat this thing? But by also talking to the specialists, the technicians that administered the sleep studies, they would get asked questions like, what is this equipment you're hooking me up to? What does it measure? What is it telling you about my health? Talking to the billing department, you're going to get asked questions like, hey, how much is this sleep study going to cost? Is my insurance going to cover it? Talking to other people in the company, the durable medical equipment providers, what is a CPAP machine? What does it do? How is it different than a BiPAP machine? And even asking people down at the level like the admins or the front desk, how do I schedule a sleep study? What am I allowed to bring with me? So you can get an amazing array of questions in a short time by doing this simple exercise right here. One of the keys to this, though, is you want to focus on questions about the things you do and the things you sell, not about you. All right. So you're going to save that, your specific stuff for your site pages. So when it comes to blog articles, you're really going after the educational content. You want to be about 80% educational. We're just explaining things to you. We're helping you solve problems. And you want to be about 20% promotional. So here's a quick spreadsheet. We did this exercise just recently with a new client got on board, and you would think, how many questions could I possibly come up with? Now, this is a company, it's a medical company that does like in vitro fertilization, among other things. Just under the header insurance, they've got over 70 questions that people ask about insurance. In vitro fertilization, they've got several questions here. They broke it down into coping, donor and egg sperm, clinical, nursing. I'm just going to scroll through this mostly just so you see just how many questions they were able to come up with in one day of running through this exercise. And this is enough content. If we're publishing at, say, 2 articles per week, this is going to last you like years right here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, one thing we have here at Impact Brand and Design, and one of our partners here. If you've ever heard of Marcus Sheridan, Andy, I know you know Marcus.
Oh,
you
yeah.
interviewed him just recently.
I did.
If you've ever heard him speak at a conference or maybe a workshop or at a Vistage, he talks about the big five from his book, They Ask You Answer. Now, Marcus was my mentor when I first started. I knew nothing about sleep medicine. I knew nothing about inbound marketing. He guided me in the same way on what to write about content. And he said, you're going to focus first. Out of all those questions you came up with in an exercise, I know from looking at other people's metrics analytics, what people are asking across industries. And it comes down to these big five questions right here. Cost questions. People want to know how much something costs. If I'm going to buy a product, if I'm going to hire a company for a service, I want to know how much something costs. And another great reason to do this article is there's probably not a lot of great information out there because a lot of people shy away from this question. And the reason is they say, I can't say how much commercial landscaping is going to cost you because it depends. So we would rather have a salesperson talk to this person and explain those factors that go into it. Well, in your cost article, you don't have to tell people exactly how much it's going to cost. Explain those factors that go into the final thing. Things like what size of yard do you have? What kind of services are you going to ask for? Are we just going to be mowing the lawn? Or are we going to be trimming the bushes? Are we going to be planting anything? All those various factors that go into your final, just say, hey, these are the things that are going to impact your bottom line. And in the end, we've seen things as low as this on up to this with maybe an average of this. Also, don't just focus on just that word cost when you're doing the research. So using synonyms or other types of LSI keywords, as Google likes to call them, look for things with cost, price, rates, fees, fines, charges, expenses. Insurance are big questions. I mean, you saw on that list I showed you, they had 70 insurance-based questions. Is your product warrantyable? What do they need to know about the warranty? Or just the keyword using value in there. I also want you to write best of list. Now, you're probably more familiar with these. You see these all the time, listicles. Because when people search for something, they are looking for the best of something. You want to put something on a spectrum for them. Rarely are people going to search and say, hey, what's the most mediocre roof I can get right now? They might go all the way to the bottom and say, what's the cheapest? But really, they're looking for those superlative adjectives we're talking about. They want to put on a spectrum. Most people are going to start at the far right. They're going to start at the best. And they're going to work back to find what's best for them because that's what they're really looking for. So different types we can do is, hey, what are the best products in this line? What are the best services you could ask for? Best practices even, which kind of mixes in with like how-to type articles. And my favorite to do is a best provider. And that is a competitor-based article where you list out, we've done it here at Impact. Who are the best inbound marketing agencies? Who are the best HubSpot partners? We write an article of all of our competitors, but when people are researching these types of companies, they're on our website to learn about the other guys. And at the end of the deck, I've even included a link people can have to go learn like how exactly would I write this article, because it is counterintuitive sounding, but it is one of the most effective ones we have people write. But again, don't just get caught up on that word best. Look for things like best, top, most, or even just, like I said, those superlatives: strongest, fastest, biggest, longest lasting, easiest, quietest, hottest, anything that ends in like EST or OST. I'd also encourage you to write comparisons and kind of common keywords there. We're talking compare, contrast, equal to, verse, like, similar to. If you have a product or a service, what are you comparing? Are we talking apples to apples? Like if you sell metal roofing and you sell metal roofing, you can compare the different types of metal roofs. You can compare the different components of metal roofs. You can talk about the different color choices. Or are we talking about apples to oranges maybe? Metal roofs versus shingle roofs, metal roofs versus tar roofs, metal roofs versus any other kind of roofing system. So this might be, hey, we sell all these different kinds, and we're going to talk about how you can make the best choice. Because that's really what this kind of article comes down to, is people do not want to have buyer's remorse. I want to make a purchase confidently knowing what I'm getting. So I'm going to do a lot of research on this. And all these types of articles are usually in the middle to bottom of the funnel. These are when people are really researching and vetting their best offers. And comparisons are one of the top drivers for a lot of our clients. This one can be a hard pill to swallow, but you're also going to want to talk about problems articles. And there's really two different types. There's their problems, which are those awareness stage type questions. For me, why am I so tired all the time? That is the number one question anyone with a sleep disorder is going to ask. Because, hey, if you're not having trouble sleeping, you don't have a sleep disorder for the most part. If you're not tired, you're doing just great. So everything starts, whether you have sleep apnea, narcolepsy, restless leg syndrome, it all starts with that question, why am I so tired all the time? And you guys can go Google that question right now, and you're going to find me at the top on the top page somewhere. Now, those are ones that a lot of people do focus on, is like those top of the funnel problems people have that bring them into the funnel, and then we start taking these other pieces of content. But a bottom of the funnel type of problem is the problems that you have, like problems with the metal roof, problems with a CPAP machine, problems with this type of office copier they might choose. You want to be the first one to tell them when your options might not be the best for them. And this does a couple of good things. One, it helps them pre-qualify themselves. We don't want to take them through the buyer's journey and ultimately know that this relationship is probably not going to work out. So we give them that, say, hey, here's times where this type of pool might not be a good option for you, and this other one might be better. So let people be aware of the things that might come up that are problematic. And maybe even the article is a problems with solutions too. Like, hey, these are common problems you might have heard, but really there's some misconsiderations going on here that we should address. Reviews is another one. And this is mostly if you're going to be doing, if you're in retail, you sell a lot of products, because you can review every single piece of equipment you have. For sleep apnea, I would review every single type of mask, every single type of machine out there with nice little write-ups on it. Or getting back to that best of list, go your best competitors, people look up reviews of companies. Reviews are insanely important. When was the last time any of you made a purchase without just looking up reviews? When was the last time you hired a company without checking to see the reviews of that company? How did other real people just like you feel about the products or services they ultimately bought? All right, so let's just see a couple of these things in action. So these are some of those clients I showed you early on, and some of their top performing content of all time. And you'll be able to see, got brown spots on your ceiling, question mark? That's a problems article. That's the first thing you realize when you say, hey, I might need a new roof because my ceiling is turning colors up there. So why is that happening? Another type of article that's in a article I will share with you is pros and cons, which is mixing those problems, but also benefits too. Pros and cons of a spray polyurethane roof. Single ply membrane roofing, TPO versus EPDM, cost of a spray foam roof, single ply versus built up, this type of rigid foam insulation versus these other three, another cost article, another comparison article, roof membrane blisters, a problems article, 7 problems and solutions of SPF roofing. So you can see in their top content, problems, cost, comparisons were their top 3 types that they get traffic from. All right, did I skip over one? Oh, this is another metal roofing company. You can see metal roofing versus shingle roofing. Hey, this is that apples to oranges. Should I buy metal roofing from these guys, or is shingles better for me? 7 problems that affect your metal roof. What is standing seam metal roof? A definition type article, but also comparisons, types, and uses. 7 common problems that could affect your metal roof. Cleaning a metal roof, a how-to type article, a comparison article, another definition and causes type, and a comparison down here. So I'll share all these decks so that you can look at some of these examples yourself. This one, what about reviews? This is from Yale Appliance. They sell different kinds of lighting and appliances for homes. And their bread and butter has been doing these review articles. The 6 best, and you can see they mix in the language too. So they're going to mix in best, and they're going to mix in cost along with reviews. 6 best steam ovens for 2019. Reviews, ratings, prices. Best recessed LED lights, reviews, ratings, prices. So they're tripling down on some of the keywords in one blog article here. So you can either, hey, write these things all individually, or maybe even some articles are going to compile some of these big 5.
I like that, because how do you write those as 2 articles? Reviews and ratings? It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that's just using some of those LSI keywords that Google likes, or synonyms for the layman. What are some other ways people might phrase the same thing? Now, there's ways to go beyond these big five too. You might have seen a couple of these other article types pop up in there. One of the most common was just definitions description. What the heck is this thing? What is sleep apnea? What is a metal roof? What is it comprised of? What are the benefits? Only instead of focusing on just the problems. And these are ones I see a lot of people have written before because they only want to talk about the good stuff. They don't want to hit those hard hitting ones of, all right, what are some of the bad things here I need to know about? How-to tutorials. These are great visual articles. They're also great videos if you're up in your gaming content. Types and classifications of what you're selling. Is there any laws or regulations that people need to know about? Misconceptions. Is there a negative stigma of some kind that's been following your product for a long time that somehow just cannot seem to get dispelled? You should be the one to tell people about that. Pros and cons, that's benefits and problems wrapped up in one nice little article. Correlation, causation, these were some of my bread and butter, especially like in the health industry, like my knees clicking. Does this mean I tore something? For me, it was sleep apnea and weight. Is there a link here? Sleep apnea and age, sleep apnea and gender. Qualifications, how do I know that the people that are going to be performing these services are qualified? How can I vet a commercial contractor of some kind? Do they need to be, licensed, bonded, insured? Is there certain certifications they should have, awards they should have won? How can I tell I'm hiring the best? Some top of the funnel ones that I see, especially here at Impact, ideas and trends and things like that. Timeline-based questions, those when questions. When is the best time to build this kind of a building or download this piece of a software? Anything that can have like a when type question attached to it. Again, if you're putting on a spectrum, when is the best time to have this thing? And then we can take some of these same topics and get even more detailed with those 4 type questions, persona specific. Inbound marketing is a great one for Impact to write about. But what about inbound marketing for small businesses? Inbound marketing for retail companies? Inbound marketing for real estate companies? Taking what you've already written and just narrowing it down into a very specific persona, because that general information might not apply to them, and it'll connect with them a lot more when you get more specific to them and their individual problems. And again, I'll share this link at the end, 17 business blog topics your audience wants you to write. Now, Andy, I've talked a lot and I've gone a little dry in the mouth, so I'm going to turn this over to you now so you can show people, hey, how can we also use Google for this stuff?
Yeah, I'm going to, just listening to that was awesome. If there was anybody that didn't know it, LSI stands for latent semantic indexing, and it's the art and science of using all the semantically connected phrases to the target key phrase, the things that are related to the words that you're writing about. And I'm going to switch also to presentation mode here and show this. So you'll see like an infinite loop here for 1 second while I switch over to, and steal these slides, or we'll make all these available to you. I love what you just said, Kevin, because the closer you are to the audience, the more likely you are to write stuff that will connect with them. And part of that is just riding shotgun on sales meetings, or listening in on calls if you're any kind of service company, or just grabbing and stealing the laptop of your top salesperson and looking at their sent mail folder, because you're trying to find the questions your audience is asking and answer those questions. FAQ content, Marcus Sheridan, they ask, you answer, so that the marketing team can then create content on that topic. So topics flow from sales to marketing, and content flows from marketing to sales in this loop where you keep making more stuff that answers more questions of this audience. The most helpful brand will win. Now, the other thing that you got into that I love too is that the top of funnel and middle of funnel, or top of funnel and bottom of funnel. In other words, information intent queries and transactional commercial intent queries. There's a bit of research, it's not very recent, but it says that there's 3 kinds of queries that people type into Google or search, and they have three types of intent. This is very broadly speaking. Information intent, transaction intent, or navigational intent. I like to call those the question marks and dollar signs. People are, everything you search for, just look at your own browsing history, is either a question mark or a dollar sign, or you're just trying to get to the brand. But what the research showed is that 80% of all queries we search for are information intent queries. Only 10% of the queries we search for are the commercial intent queries, the transactional ones. But those are the first ones to focus on because those people are farther down, they're at the bottom of your funnel. taking this one step further, we begin to understand that really we have two kinds of visitors to our website. They are different types of people. People who have commercial intent and people who have information intent. People who want your product or service and people who just want answers. People who search for Chicago plumber and people who search for why does my sink smell weird? And so they're typing in these two kinds of queries, question marks and dollar signs. There's many, many more. You're looking at, this is almost like looking top down onto a funnel, right? It's like there's more things at the top than there are at the bottom. That's what this little chart kind of shows. And they land on two kinds of pages. We have sales pages that convert visitors into leads and customers. We have blog posts and articles and webinars and podcasts and videos and helpful, useful, information intent aligned kind of content marketing content. And these pages might get people to subscribe, to follow, or to link, which is critical to grow our audience. But it's these pages that really sell. So if you want the fortune, you've got to get the glory first. So I really think of it that way. Those pages that, you say, people searching for reviews, they have a high commercial intent. But a lot of those things like, they have no commercial intent. They're just searching for information. So that said, I have some slides that show, and some of this is pretty obvious. Google made this so that you can find stuff quickly, but we use it so we know what to create. Google did not make Google Suggest and instant Google search results to help content marketers do better content. They made it to help people find stuff. So let's say I'm an office, this was from a presentation where I pretend to be an office coffee company, office coffee delivery, B2B service company, doesn't matter, B2C, B2B. But if I search for office kitchen, I get all kinds of ideas. And these are things that I could write about tomorrow and rank for next week. But it's kind of long and slow and boring to type the next letter of the alphabet 26 times, which if you do, you keep seeing more search results. So keywordtool.io website, tool, free tool, will scrape all of Google Suggest out of Google search results, or YouTube, or Bing, or Amazon, or an app store, and show you what people are looking for, what people want, data-driven empathy. I'm an office coffee delivery service. My audience is office managers. They have office kitchens, and they would love to get an office kitchen etiquette email template. I know that because I see it here. It wouldn't be here unless it was a validated topic. And Answer the Public, very popular tool, free tool, answerthepublic.com. There's other tools. BuzzSumo has a version of this, where you just type in a word and it finds all the questions people are asking on the internet. I typed in office coffee, very relevant to my audience. Is office coffee tax deductible? How do I make office coffee taste better? What's the best office coffee machine? I know my audience wants them because I see them in this report. So there's lots of these tools. Quora.com, if you're not familiar, go to Quora.com. I typed in office party. What are some funny awards for an office party? Again, I don't know this audience. I don't know this business. I'm not even in this business. But in 5 seconds, I can find all kinds of things that my audience wants because they show up in these reports, in these tools, right? Data-driven empathy. Then I begin to organize these in a content strategy where I've got like lists posts with a little information about a lot of things, go deeper into topics, then maybe do a deeper dive on a certain specific thing. And that's going to give me insights into like, what is the best, I can begin to put these into a structure. Now, another fun source is analytics. Here is a trick to find all the ways in which your current content, your current website is unsatisfying to your audience. It's going to expose information intent queries. It's going to expose commercial intent queries. Basically, as long as you have a search tool, the search tool is a tool that you made to help people find stuff, but it's also a listening tool for you to see what people want. Go to behavior site search terms, or actually I think it's called queries now. This is for a travel site. These are all this is all what people search for on this travel website. They want to find New Orleans and Hawaii and Costa Rica. Great, makes sense. Now I'm going to add a secondary dimension from this dropdown. Quick review. The first column in Google Analytics is the primary dimension. Everything to the right is a metric. There are only two things in Google Analytics, dimensions and metrics. The dimensions are basically the reports on the left. But if you want to add data from a different report, you can grab data from another report by adding another dimension as another column on this report. So I'm going to add a secondary dimension by clicking this dropdown. The combination of dimensions here that's useful is the search query and the exit page. Because when I'm looking at a column that shows the exit pages, I can see where people left the website. What page was their last visit? People who searched for New Orleans left from the New Orleans page. That's not weird. People who searched for Hawaii left from the Hawaii page. That's not weird. But people who searched for packing list left from the search results page. In other words, they're searching for that, but not clicking on anything. Why would that be? It's because this website doesn't have a packing list. It's the report of broken dreams. It's literally showing you all the ways in which your website wasn't satisfying. I mean, I want this report for everything in my life. Yeah. I want to know what my wife wants me to do that I'm not doing. I would see it in 2 seconds and I could fix the problem, right? What am I putting in my fridge but not eating? Like this report shows you a list of the content your audience wants, but you're not giving them. So look for every phrase in that report. Did you find it? Do you have a page that isn't ranking? Maybe optimize for that. Maybe you have a packing list, but you called it what to bring. Maybe you don't have a page. If you don't have a packing list at all, make a packing list. Or maybe your search tool is being overused because your website's just confusing. So past that, there was a question a second ago. Let me see. Who asked this? Kim asked recommendations for repurposing content. I love that question. I want to answer that question. But before I plow through a whole bunch of more stuff here, sorry, let me stop sharing screen. Susan, how much of this what are we missing here from your approach to as a content strategist?
Well, first of all, anything, those charts were so impressive at the beginning with the results you're getting. And so if you tell me to create content standing on my head, Kevin, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm in with your system. Really great. I think that, I guess I love the emphasis on questions. I think that's tremendously helpful. I think there's something to be said too for learning from competitors. So just keeping an eye on what other people are publishing in your industry is really useful. That's something that we've learned a lot from at BuzzSumo. Our content performs well, but when I look at I think of them as attention competitors. So not necessarily product competitors, but others in our industry who write things that our audience is interested in. I see sites like Blog at HubSpot, Blog at Buffer, getting a lot of traction for content types that we don't have. And so I find that useful in deciding what to write next. And I think too, there's something to be said for paying attention to industry trends so that you can, first of all, get a sense for where people are headed and what they're interested in. So being a good consumer of content related to your topic is really useful too.
I love what you said, attention competitors.
Yeah, because I've learned as we talk with clients, a lot of times when you say competitors, people mention, the people who have a similar product, but I think that's helpful, but it's also helpful to look at the industry as well.
Yeah, because if you're competing in search, you're not, it's almost more common that the other sites that rank for your target phrases aren't even in your niche or aren't product competitors, or your audience would never compete with you for those in many cases. A lot of times it's just we're all competing with other content sites. Like someone asked a question about WebMD, it's the information intent queries, you have tons of attention competitors. I'm going to start describing it that way. That's helpful.
Cool. Yeah. So those are some of the thoughts that I had about ideas. One that has, I'm not sure if you know Donna Moritz from Socially Sorted, but she also maintains a list of monthly holidays and special days. And I was just looking through the ones for April and created a trending feed in BuzzSumo. I just entered each of the holiday dates in for April. The great thing about trending is it's only 24 hours. So when it's World Adopt a Pet Day, you've got 24 hours worth of content on that. And then that one drops off and the next month's pop up. So if anyone's interested in writing content related to holidays, let me know. I'll send you a link. It's, going to update all month.
That's a great tip. I think social media marketers might look at that just in the near term, like what's coming up. But a content marketer, maybe if we looked out a few months, we could actually build up a piece or two on that thing to align with that day.
Yeah. Are you suggesting planning? I don't know. Yeah, and that's a good tool too.
Hey, I
Yeah.
want to get back to that WebMD question real quick, just to help that
Mhm.
person out, because a couple of things. That was when I first started sleep clinic. Like, how the heck am I going to compete with these juggernauts like WebMD, the American Medical Association, American Academy of Sleep Technologists, all these things? Is that I didn't care too much about them. My focus was to answer the patient's questions regardless and try and answer them better than anyone had written before.
Hmm.
When it comes to like definitions or symptoms of, it's going to be hard to compete with WebMD. They're probably going to take some of the top spots, but there is still 9 other organic results. So if you can at least get yourself on that first page, have a better title, have a better meta description than them, there's a chance that you're going to be stealing a lot of that traffic away from them anyway. And over time, if you're doing so well at that, getting higher click-through rates than them, maybe for that specific question, you can end up bumping yourself up higher in ranking. So try and get to that first page first. There is room on there for the best answers. And then start working on trying to incrementally get yourself a little bit higher on each one. And answer it like a human too. I think when I first
Mhm.
started, when I was researching some of these questions, there was so much jargon out there. It was like
Yeah.
doctors were writing for doctors, and I wanted to be a human writing to another human, someone with a problem. Like, hey, I empathize with you. I know you're going through this and it's a struggle. Here's some of the things you can do. So write this kind of stuff that is going to connect with people.
Another tip there, WebMD is actually having a giant in your category is an advantage if you're a SEMrush user, because you can put that into the domain overview or put it into organic research and just filter. I'm doing it right now. This will take me 5 seconds. And to filter all the phrases for which there's 8.4 million, filter for all the phrases that WebMD ranks for just those that rank on page 2. Show me a list of all the phrases for which WebMD ranks on page 2. Wow, here is a list of 1.3 million of those key phrases. I could
Wow.
filter this again to just find the stuff in my category.
Hmm.
They rank, number 16 for pregnancy calculator and, number 11 for healthy snacks. There's other big competitors there. But if you use the tools, you can jump right in right behind a juggernaut, because they may have made an okay page that ranks okay, where you can just make the better page and outrank them. These sites also have kind of a disadvantage, despite their massive authority. They have a disadvantage because a lot of these pages that rank on their sites are like so deep down in their URL structure. So take on and fight hard to beat the digital giants.
And that's a great segue, because you're talking about using SEMrush. Let's dive into there and let's actually show how some of this stuff can be done real quick. So I'm going to steal back to screen share. All right, so you should be seeing yourself. We'll go through a couple tools here. I want to quickly take you through Keyword Magic Tool, which is taking your major keyword phrases and do that and look through that. Then Domain Overview and Organic Research Tools, which is you can do some of that competitor analysis. One, you can look at your own website, how you're already doing for certain things. Then you can start stalking those juggernauts out and seeing what you have in common, where you guys each rank for it, and where they're actually got content that you don't have at all. But I'd like to turn it over to some of the audience. Let's actually help some folks here. Give me some industries you guys work in and maybe that major product or service you sell. And I'll plug it into the Keyword Magic Tool and show you some of the tricks I use to find some of the top content to go after.
It's a big opportunity. Free consulting today, guys. I see one question from Shell 9130. She has a physiotherapy clinic. Looks like she's in a regulated industry.
Okay.
She was the one that asked about WebMD, actually, so we've kind of touched on that already.
Yeah.
But anyone else? Any others? Any broad
Tell me I'm not going
categories?
to butcher the spelling. Let's see here. Physiotherapy.
PHYSIO.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
wow. Here we go.
Okay.
Finance, travel, engineering software. Anyone got
All
some give us a longer tail would help a little bit. These are super broad.
Yeah. Well, no, that's why you start in that broad, right? Because
Yeah.
you're looking at like physiotherapy. Yeah,
Kevin,
22,000 people a month. Oh,
zoom in a little if you can.
yeah, no problem. Tell me when it's a decent size. 125% good?
A little more.
Okay. All right, 150.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So I kind of, this is like ultimately what I want to rank for. Physiotherapy, 22,000 people. Search it. But what are they really asking when they write that? That's probably going to be a definition article, right? What is physiotherapy, or maybe even a benefits type when they just have that short tail keyword. So one thing I'll do is I might crawl through here and looking for major things to jump out at me. I try and get away, especially initially, from some of those big ones. Those are ones I'm probably going to want to focus on with like pillar content. But first, I'm going to write the cluster kind of content around it to answer these short tail keywords. So right here, this is an excellent one. Physiotherapy versus physical therapy. Which one is right for me? 1,600 people a month search it. Difficulty of 53.6. And that's fairly, I wouldn't say easy to go after, but a great piece of content should be able to do that. If you're 65 and under, a good piece of content should be able to rank for it maybe in like 3 to 6 months. And sometimes it's taken even longer, especially in competitive industries. But when I see things getting into like the 80s and higher, that's going to take amazing content, backlinks. It's going to take time. And when you get in the 90s, it's going to take a stroke of luck too sometimes. So let's focus on these things that are 65 and under first, that are kind of a little bit more nuanced question, because we know this is a great topic here. Getting a little bit more specific, physiotherapy for back pain. That's an amazing one here. What is physiotherapy definition? So longer tail than this one, but it's probably going to answer about the same question, but there's a chance you might rank on the first page for even this keyword here by going after this. So go through here and add some in.
Look at the intent too. What is physiotherapy? Information intent. Physiotherapy for back pain, commercial intent. Like when you develop that skill, like you can scan through a list of key phrases and just say commercial information, commercial, and just, it's one of those important things as a content marketer, is just to understand the intent of that visit.
And you can add them to your keyword tool analyzer. So there's 539,000 things that get searched with this, right? So you can crawl through here and look at all these high volume ones. You can also come over here and see, well, what are some of these other keywords that keep popping up in these things? There's a lot of questions around jobs. Maybe you were doing physiotherapy recruiting. You would want to stick in this vein. University, that's kind of telling me people are looking at courses on this. Or maybe you do a lot of sports therapy. So I would say, hey, this is my niche right here. Let's see what questions that also contain the keyword sports in there. Sports physiotherapy near me. That is what you said earlier. Hey, that's that third type of question people type in. They're wanting to go somewhere now. Look through some of these ones in here and just see, hey, is there anything with sports in there I can make that my niche? The other thing is I really love coming up here and switching to questions. These are like phrases people use and not just those short tail keywords that sometimes don't give you the context behind the search. Questions give you that context. What is it? What is chest physiotherapy? Oh, right now I'm already asking myself as a user, there's different kinds of physiotherapy. Chest physiotherapy, what other kinds out there? Back, I saw back come up. So you have a couple ones there. How to do it at home. What are some practices I can do in my own home right now? Ooh, electrotherapy, right? What do you do in there?
At home electroshock therapy.
Let's not write that article.
Sometimes you'll find these weird ones kind of thrown in.
You might get a cease and desist letter from your own company.
Keep checking the boxes off when you're like, I can write an article on that. That is something that my people ask all the time. Absolutely. This is great. Does Ohio pay for physiotherapy seniors? You can probably skip that, but maybe you can make an article out of it. Like, does insurance pay for physiotherapy? Because people are asking some of those does type questions. Then use some of my list to those top articles. Is come up here to advanced filters and say, all right, do people ask questions about cost? How much does physiotherapy cost? Yeah. There's a little bit more specific, but if people are asking the specifics, they're also asking just how much does it cost for physiotherapy? You think only 10 people a month, so it might not always be your top trafficked article. But you can use this content in other parts of your sales funnel, and like emails. Your salespeople, when they contact people to talk about physiotherapy, can say, hey, you probably want to know how much this thing's cost. I'm going to send you an article after this call that details out the different factors that go into it. So think of different ways you can use your content too. But there is about 180 different searches, at least, with the word cost in there. Let's see if there's comparisons. We did see physiotherapy versus electrotherapy, which was crazy. Physiotherapy versus physical therapy. So there you go. There's a really good one there. You can look up pros and cons, benefits, problems. Like go through those lists and check all this stuff out.
I liked what you said earlier about thinking about the other terms people use. So not just focusing on one term that might be used, but using a word recommendation as opposed to best. Like you could do best
Yeah,
physiotherapists in this area, or you could do physiotherapist recommendations in this area.
absolutely.
Thought that was a good idea.
All right, I'm going to switch over to one. So can we get possibly even? Well, let's switch to someone else. So we checked out a bunch of stuff for physiotherapy. I'd encourage you maybe to take a free trial of this tool and look at some of this other stuff because there's other tools in here that are really great for some of this research. Let's get someone's web domain and one of their top competitors' domain that I can plug in.
We don't have. If Kate can put in one, I could find one from this, but maybe people are.
If anything, I can default to
We just take the, well, yeah, we're going to get too many.
All right, so
Here we
I'm
go.
going to go impactbnd.com, right? All right, let's say that I am someone just starting in inbound marketing and I want to compete with Impact Brand and Design. I can go stock their keywords out. I can say, hey, man, they're getting at least 130 organic traffic a month. We know that is, they estimate stuff based on a few different factors, but you can get at least a ballpark of how someone's doing. 130,000 organic traffic a month, 394,000 backlinks. Look through what they're doing well, and I love coming down to their keywords. 3,000 plus keywords on the in the top 3 results. Another 8,400 on the first page. So combine this, we're talking around like 12,000 pieces of questions that SEMrush knows about. On the first page. Then we can look at their second page, etc., and just kind of get a distribution of where all these keywords are at. Then I can come in here and stock out everything they got.
Yeah,
so I'll go ahead and view full report.
It's like the ultimate competitive analysis tool.
So I can look at all their positions again. At first, you can cycle it by what are they on the first page for. You might even put in some, I only want to look at stuff that they're on the second page for, like you mentioned earlier, Andy, and I might target those things that they're not doing well on. I can look at what's bringing them the most traffic, which keywords have the most volume, and I can cycle by all these things, do a lot of scrolling. I can even come up here again to advanced filters and say, okay, well, how are they doing with inbound marketing? Or cost questions, like maybe I want to see where I compete with them on certain levels or what they're doing well at. Inbound marketing agency, they're number one. Why are they number one for that? Go stock that piece of content out. And that's an article called Top Inbound HubSpot Partner Agencies, one of those best competitor articles I talked about earlier. So look through their keywords, then enter yourself in here. So go to the keyword gap.
Oh, here comes another. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have time to do enough of these, people.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It would be so.
I would love to.
Yeah, there's so. Like a workshop format.
That's
or
good, man. I love seeing that interaction.
In advance. I wish we had time, everyone, to do more on the spot analysis. But literally, everything Kevin's doing is applicable to anybody. Basically, those exact reports are the same for any industry. Put in any competitor and do it just like he's doing here.
All right, so now I'm going to grab one of the top competitors of Impact, Kuno Creative. They come up a lot with what we do. So they are Impact Brand and Design. I'm representing right now Kuno to see what I can do against Impact. Now, we're looking at keyword gap. Now, first, look up here. We're looking at what we have in common with the Venn diagram. These are the keywords we have in common. So Impact has 138,000 keywords. We have in common 2,672. So crawl through and see what we're both doing well on, like award-winning website designs. Impact's number 1. We're sitting at number 38. Award-winning sites, we're number 1. They're number 16. So kind of take the hit first and go, okay, what are they beating me on? You might even want to look at, okay, what am I actually beating them out on? And kind of get that little bit of a, puff your chest up a little bit. Content for IT company websites. So as Impact, I'm like, man, well, I'm at the bottom of that. They're at the top. What can I do to improve that content? Look through all the stuff you have in common, who's beating who out in certain areas. Then switch the Venn diagram to say, okay, I want to look up things that they have that Google doesn't even know me about. I'm not in that top 100 results, so I basically don't count. And then switch to the hard news. What is Impact beating out that Kuno Creative doesn't have? We're looking at now 136,000 different keywords right here. And I can export these into spreadsheets. I can enable a chart and just kind of look at this, like Impact has this many keywords. Kuno has 8,000. We meet in the middle at around 2,600. And just stalk your competitors out, what they're doing really well at that you would like to jump in there on. So I don't want to take up too much more time. These are just 3 of my favorite ways to do some research with this tool. And there's so many other tools in here that are awesome. I'd encourage you guys to check it out. Get a free trial of the software. Hey, and let me know how it's going for you. Now, I don't want to take time away from questions, so we have 10 minutes left. What kind of questions can we answer?
I have one. How long does it take to do this for a particular topic or client? Like, you'd feel good that you had done it if you had the information and you were an hour in. Like, what's the time expectation for your research?
You know, it can be a short time. Like, I could have found, like, you might just be like, oh, I need to write something right now tonight. So went in there to physiotherapy, found like 5 blog articles, and if I'm only writing like 1 a week, that's going to get me through the next 2 weeks, and I can keep diving into this tool whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to dive in, I'd probably say spend, like an hour or 2 on it and really going through some of these ones and mapping your content out and saying, maybe I want to build a calendar for the next 3-6 months, and I want to do 2 a week. So I'm going to need X amount of pieces of content, and I'm going to find each one of those in there and dig through this tool or some of those other methods like we mentioned. Yeah, you can get deep dive into, or you can just jump in here real quick just to find that next thing you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was the very first question we got since the was, and hopefully he's still on here. Brian Bloom says, amazing organic growth. How do you track that to increased sales? I'm going to show my best attempt, which is a tough topic, my best attempt to answer this question because I think this is widely misunderstood. So it's not common for people who visit blog posts to ever really go to a service page and become a lead. They kind of make it sound like, oh, just keep on blogging and that person will eventually become a lead. People who come to blog posts have information intent are very unlikely to become a lead. You might generate tons of traffic from these. The site has more than 1 million visitors. Just create a segment to show people that start their visit on the blog post, and you see it might be like 90+% of your visitors. But the conversion rate, in other words, Brian, the percentage of those people who affect the bottom line and become, have monetary impact on your business, might be insanely low. On this site, it's 0.03% of people who visit blog posts that ever become a lead. In other words, if you make a segment for people who start their visit on a service page, they search for commercial intent keyword, versus people who started their visit on a blog post, they search for an information intent keyword, the difference in conversion rates is like 50x. Mm-hmm. But the real mechanism is that you need the blog posts to get enough people to link to you, because people are never going to link to your service pages. And it's all that links and authority that make your entire domain more likely to rank. And sure, those blog posts will generate lots of visitors. That's lovely. But if you want this service page to generate a qualified visitor because it ranks for a commercial intent keyword, you must create high value content marketing content to give influencers, journalists, editors, bloggers, something to link to, or else this service page is never going to rank. It's just very unlikely that, and I think that mechanism is widely misunderstood. But if you want to rank the sales page for the commercial intent key phrase, you need a high enough authority. And you'll never get that unless you have links. You'll never get those unless you have high quality content. And you'll never get that unless you make stuff that people actually want to read. So that's my shortest attempt at answering that main question, which is how does all this stuff really make money for me? It's an indirect benefit. It's insanely powerful. Anyone that's ever ranked for a sales page for a commercial intent keyword can tell you. You'll generate, that's the real secret to unlocking like lots of demand gen.
Yeah, and then I would even take it a step further too, is saying that you can also use it in other ways. So it's bringing traffic to the site, and not everyone, I think we see small conversion rates on people that come read a blog article and then continue on through the website and end up on those service pages. So how can you also use that content in your sales process?
Sure.
It's not just making this a marketing thing. Marketing is doing this to drive traffic to the website. Your sales team, one, needs to be helping you come up with these topics because they know the real questions people are asking. 2, they need to be using the content in their sales cycle. And we call it assignment selling here at Impact, where, again, a salesperson is on a call with a new client. And we already know these people have like 80% of these questions, and we answer them all the time, over and over on the phone. So you can shorten it by saying, hey, I'm going to send you an email that's going to contain a couple of links to some of the top pieces of content you have questions about. Or to continue this conversation, I'm going to send you these articles that are going to answer what are some of the problems with these products that we sell? How much do they cost and why? What are some of the other ones you might choose, et cetera? And like when we have salespeople using the marketing content, it shortens their cycle and you get happier buyers because there's less remorse. They don't feel like a salesperson is just pandering to them to try and get them to close the deal, and they don't really care about the customer, right? We all have those kind of feelings. I always think of like a used car salesman experience I had once where I got a lemon from a guy. Next time I bought a car, I researched the living heck out of content before I made a purchase. And then I knew exactly what I was getting. So use the content in the sales cycle and don't just think it's only there to bring traffic to the website. Your sales team should be sending this content to, high quality prospects to educate them, save you time and save them time too.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kim's question about repurposing is about repurposing or rethinking top performing content. And I think that's a great answer to that as well. That's one way you can repurpose it is in sales. I have been trying with the content we have at BuzzSumo to never publish anything only in one format. So just planning from the beginning and not doing something unless it's going to be in at least two things, maybe a slideshow, maybe converting a blog post to a video. And so I think that's another helpful way to repurpose things is just plan from the beginning to how you'll make the work that you've done available in more than one container.
Oh yeah. Yeah, video is huge. And then you're really tackling two search engines right there, right? You got that same how-to tutorial on YouTube. You got it in a blog article. The blog article has the video embedded in it. The YouTube channel points to the web page. You are doubling down on your search right there by going after Google and YouTube, the two largest search engines right there for the same question, but with going after people's different preference for learning. Some people like to read like me. Other people want to watch a video, do a podcast, right? Some people just want to listen. They want to be on the go. They want to be driving and getting that information behind the wheel or while mowing their lawn or doing the dishes or something. Think about their different preference styles of learning and try and make that same content to those different kind of preferences.
I love it when search and humanity line up really well. It's like you could make it better for search and people at the same time. That's a great thing.
Yeah, that's how it should be. I mean, anything that you're doing strictly for a robot is probably spam.
Very good point.
So maybe the best blog topic isn't a new blog topic. It's whatever your best performing thing was. Now put that in another format. Turn your top X into Y. That is an almost guaranteed formula for success. It's Larry Kim says, and he's collaborated with SEMrush many times. Larry Kim says that everything you publish is either a unicorn or a donkey. And the purpose of analytics is to find the unicorns and then make baby unicorns. Turn that thing, whatever that best thing was, right? Turn your top blog post into a video. Turn your top blog post into an infographic. Turn your top 3 blog posts into an ebook. Turn your top social media post into an email subject line. Whatever that thing was, you're not done with it. If it was good, stay on that, mine that vein of gold and keep making more things on that topic because success is almost guaranteed. Through internal linking, success is almost guaranteed because whatever that new thing you made, just like Kevin said, right? They can refer to each other. Connect your traffic magnets to your new piece of content, and you've done a good job of promotion already.
I got one from Craig here too. So what do you guys think about the minimum size of blog posts to be? There's a lot of questions about how long should pieces of content be? And also what about volume? Is it challenging to get 2 articles a week out?
The minimum size for a blog post is 1,122 words. No, I'm kidding, because that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's a crazy idea, right?
Now we know.
The ideal length for a piece of content is exactly as long as it takes to completely address that topic in a thorough, exhaustive way, and not one word longer.
Yeah.
So if you're tackling big topics, you're likely making stuff that is 1,800, 2,000, 3,000 words. I recently wrote an article about how to share your Google Analytics. It's like a permissions and user management thing. 800 words, it was done. That's everything I need to do. I mean, there's nothing else to really know about that topic. So it should be driven by so there's lots of research. SEMrush has some of the best research on and we can share a link, the correlation between length and rankings. But clearly there's a correlation between length and quality and length and detail, which would explain the correlation between, length and rankings, because high quality, detailed, thorough, exhaustive stuff that answers every question in a detailed way from every angle is likely to be the best page on the internet. What ranks is the best page on the internet for the topic. So don't, write short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs, but never try to write a short article. Try to make the best page on the internet.
Yep. Yeah, because sorry.
Oh, you go ahead.
I think it's really about answering the question, because in the end, someone shouldn't read your article and go, I don't think that answered my question at all, or it didn't answer enough. So now I need to go back to Google and see what that other guy has to say. And if that guy has a better answer, that's where people are going to keep going, and your stuff's going to end up falling off. You might have made it to the first page or something, but if people are choosing other content over than yours because they just think this doesn't address it thoroughly enough, or this isn't exactly the question I was asking, they're going to ignore it. I usually say kind of try and shoot for at least minimum of like 750, because Google does kind of equate that length with quality because they think that you are exploring it thorough. But don't do it like when you're in college or high school and the professor said you need to write 1,000 words and you just start getting overly wordy just as you're watching that word count bar just to match up some perfect length.
Yeah, don't write a 800-word article and fluff it up to 1,200 words.
Yeah.
Write an 1,800-word article and trim it down to 1,500.
I think headings are.
Susan, go ahead.
I think headings are a really important part of that equation too. And sometimes when we write long articles, we pay more attention to how we break the text up, which makes it more readable for humans and Google too. Yeah. So that's always good to make things skimmable.
Yeah, you got the skim readers and you got the thorough readers. You got to kind of satisfy both. The skim readers should be able to quickly find those major points that jump out at them. And then the thorough readers should be able to like read everything they want to know about it without, having to go somewhere else. But you should also spark other ideas like, ooh, now I need to go write this other article. Now I want to know how this thing compares to that other thing or how much it costs, and give links to those other pieces of content.
Yeah, I never write a paragraph longer than 3 lines. Never write a paragraph longer. It doesn't work for scanners. Well, guys, we're at time. I like how I think to wrap it up, what we just sort of said at the end, write content that answers your audience's top questions, starting with sales questions. And when you answer those questions in content, be the best answer. Write content that answers the question completely, because like Kevin just said, and like Susan just said, you don't want them going back to search to get more information. You want to have been the one to completely satisfy their information need. The job of the SEO is to satisfy users' information needs. That's kind of what we're trying to, if you know what their needs are and you know how to completely satisfy them, you found the topic and you wrote a deep article, that's the job. Well done, guys. Yeah, okay. So thanks for coming. Check the SEMrush website. There are tons of fantastic webinars all the time. I've stalked that page a lot. Add them to your calendar even far in advance so that you don't miss them. And keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because the recorded stuff is always available here. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. We appreciate it. Kevin, Susan.
Hey,
thanks. Have a great day, everyone.
Huge value.
Okay, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.